Hi ladies, what to do to make him miss you, a woman's perspective with a psychologist's insight. Whether you're just starting a new relationship or have been with someone for a while, the desire to feel wanted and cherished is completely natural. One of the clearest signs that you hold a special place in a man's heart is when he genuinely misses you. This isn't about playing games or manipulating emotions, it's about building a deep emotional connection where your presence is felt, and your absence leaves a meaningful void. Here are 7 heartfelt ways to create that kind of impact. Have a life outside of him. One of the most magnetic qualities a woman can possess is a full, vibrant life that doesn't orbit solely around a man. It's not about detachment or emotional distance, it's about maintaining your identity, your rhythm, your passions. When a man meets a woman who has her own world, filled with ambitions, relationships, routines, and laughter, he becomes naturally curious, intrigued. And when she's not around, he doesn't just miss her body, her voice, or her attention, he misses the energy of her whole being. Too often, especially in the early stages of love, women unconsciously start to blend their world into his. Priorities shift. Free time gets filled with us instead of me. While togetherness is beautiful, over-integration can make you seem overly available, emotionally, physically, and mentally. That availability can flatten the very sense of mystery and autonomy that once made him want to chase you. The truth is, people only long for what they feel they could lose. When a woman protects her individuality, she sends a message: I love you, but I belong to myself. That message isn't cold, it's irresistible. It says that she brings something to the relationship, not because she needs to be completed, but because she's already complete. She reads books he's never heard of. She laughs with friends who knew her before he came into her life. She invests in dreams that don't rely on his validation. And through that, she becomes unforgettable. Imagine him finishing his day and wondering what you're up to, not because you're ignoring him, but because your life is full. You're out with a friend he's never met. You're at a dance class. You're writing, painting, creating, healing. You're moving through the world like someone who knows her worth. That absence isn't a punishment, it's a presence felt even in the quiet. It's what makes him miss your voice, your mind, your essence. A woman with her own life forces a man to rise, to meet her, to value what she offers, because it isn't handed over on demand, it's shared intentionally. He learns to treasure her time, because it's never a guarantee. And in that treasure, he begins to long for more. More of her energy, her thoughts, her warmth. Her life becomes a story he wants to be part of, not the other way around. So go live. Cultivate hobbies that make your eyes sparkle. Keep your friendships alive. Take that solo trip. Make plans without asking. Say no when you need to. Say yes when your soul whispers. Be so rooted in who you are that even when you love him deeply, you never lose sight of yourself. Because the woman who never abandons herself is the woman he'll always miss. Leave a gentle mark, not a grip. There's a quiet kind of power in the way you let someone go, not forever, not dramatically, but in those small, ordinary goodbyes that happen between texts, meetings, or days spent apart. The truth is, love doesn't flourish under constant surveillance. It breathes when there's room. If you want a man to miss you, to think about you when you're not around, you don't need to cling. You need to leave something soft behind, a scent, a smile, a warmth, something that lingers long after you've gone. Many women, especially when they deeply care, make the mistake of overreaching. They call, they check in, they send back-to-back texts. They want to be part of his every hour, every decision, every breath. But to a man, that doesn't translate as love. It reads as control, anxiety, or need. And even if he never says it out loud, a part of him will begin to retreat, not because he doesn't care, but because pressure can suffocate even the deepest affection. Instead, consider the power of subtlety. When you part ways, after a date, after a phone call, after a morning together, leave with grace. A soft kiss that makes him wish it lasted longer. A genuine laugh that echoes in his ears later. A sweet message, not demanding a reply, but leaving a trace of your affection. These tiny gestures don't pull at him, they invite him. They remind him of what he's missing, without ever saying so outright. Think about scent, the faint perfume on his jacket. Or memory, the inside joke that only the two of you share. Or energy, The way your presence brings peace, not tension. Those are the things he'll come to crave. Not the 10th message in a row asking where he is, but the memory of your fingertips brushing against his, the softness of your goodbye, the unexpected wink you left him with before stepping out of the car. The women men miss aren't the ones who demand space in their lives. They're the ones who earn it by being calm, confident, and complete. The gentle presence, not the controlling grip. The invitation, not the insistence. When you allow a man to feel the space between you, he gets to choose to close it. That choice, made freely, not out of guilt or obligation, is what creates longing. It gives him room to remember, to reflect, to feel the weight of your absence in the corners of his day. You become not a routine, but a rhythm, the kind he hears even when it's quiet. So step back without pulling away. Say less without disconnecting. Let silence do some of the work. Let your absence carry the echo of your presence. He won't remember how often you texted. He'll remember how it felt to be near you. And when you're not there, he'll feel that too. Be the memory that lingers. Long after the words fade and the moment ends, what remains is how you made him feel. Emotions etch themselves into memory more deeply than facts ever could. If you want a man to miss you, truly, ache for your presence, become the memory he can't quite shake. Be the warmth that creeps into his chest when he thinks of you. The scent that haunts his pillow. The echo of your laughter that visits him when the room is silent. You don't need to overwhelm his world. You just need to mark it, softly, from the inside out. It starts in the subtle things. The way you say his name, not casually, but with a rhythm and affection that turns it into something sacred. The way you brush his arm lightly as you walk past, like your touch carries its own language. The perfume you wear, not overpowering, but distinct. So when he catches that scent somewhere else, days later, it's like you've walked into the room again without even being there. Moments matter more than minutes. It's not how long you spend with him, it's what you do with the time you share. Make eye contact that says, I see you. Listen like what he's saying holds value, even when it's simple. Laugh in a way that disarms him. Smile in a way that stays with him. And when you kiss him, don't rush. Kiss him like it's a message. Like you're leaving part of yourself with him. A taste, a feeling, a pause in time. Men often struggle to articulate emotion, but they feel deeply. They may not remember every conversation, but they'll remember how it felt when you ran your fingers through their hair, how your voice softened when you said goodbye, how your presence calmed the chaos in their heads. Those are the things that stay. And when you're not around, it's those moments that come back, quietly, persistently. The secret is in being intentional. You don't need to perform, you need to connect. Make the effort to be fully present when you're with him, not distracted, not scrolling, not halfway elsewhere. That level of attentiveness is rare. And rare things are remembered. You're not trying to haunt him with absence. You're becoming part of his emotional memory, the internal landscape he walks through when he's alone. You're not trying to impress him with grand gestures. You're impressing upon him the feeling of being deeply known, deeply enjoyed. And when you leave with grace. Not because you're playing games, but because you trust that your presence was powerful enough to linger. You don't need to remind him to miss you. If you've truly touched him, with tenderness, intention, and depth, he already does. Be the feeling that returns to him when he least expects it. Be the quiet ache in the middle of his ordinary day. Be the memory that lingers, soft, sweet, and impossible to replace. Keep a hint of mystery. There's something deeply magnetic about a woman who doesn't reveal herself all at once. It's not about playing games or being evasive, it's about leaving space for curiosity. In a world obsessed with constant updates and instant gratification, mystery becomes a rare and irresistible quality. If you want him to miss you, to truly feel drawn to you even in your absence, give him just enough to stir his imagination, but never so much that there's nothing left to discover. Mystery doesn't mean being distant or closed off. It means choosing not to narrate every moment of your day. It means holding back just a bit, a story you save for later, a detail you let him ask about, a piece of your world you reveal only when the timing is right. It's the art of being open, but not obvious. Present, but not predictable. When you're too available, too explainable, too easily read, the intrigue fades. Familiarity has its place in intimacy, but it's mystery that creates longing. He should feel like he knows you deeply, but still senses there's more. That there are layers yet to be uncovered. That even after all this time, you can still surprise him. Surprises don't need to be grand gestures. They can be as simple as sending a spontaneous photo, not a posed, perfect one, but something playful and unexpected. A shot of your coffee and scribbled thoughts. A wink from the bookstore. A new lipstick color you haven't worn before. These tiny disruptions in the expected rhythm of communication remind him you are multifaceted, evolving, alive, interesting. You keep him emotionally engaged not because you're constantly present, but because he never quite knows what's coming next. Mystery also lives in the energy you carry. It's in your confidence when you walk into a room. In the way you speak with intention. In your silence when it's powerful. You don't need to fill every space with words. Sometimes it's your quiet that lingers. That moment you pause before responding. That slight smile that makes him wonder what you're thinking. It's in these pauses, these little gaps, that his mind fills in the blanks, and that's where desire lives. Keep him on his toes, but never confused. You're not trying to frustrate him, you're trying to awaken something in him. A hunger to know more. A fascination that builds over time. A sense that he's lucky to be let into your world, one moment at a time. That he has something worth chasing, not because you're elusive, but because you are layered, complex, and full of surprises. When he doesn't know exactly what version of you he'll encounter, the playful one, the thoughtful one, the sultry one, the dreamy one, he stays engaged. Emotionally, mentally, he starts thinking about you even when he doesn't mean to. He wonders what you're doing, what you're feeling, what's going through your head. That's the seed of missing someone. The mind reaching for what it doesn't fully possess. So let him in, but not all the way. Show him your heart, but hold back just enough for him to keep leaning in. You're not a puzzle to be solved, you're a story to be savored, page by page. Keep a hint of mystery, and you'll keep him coming back, not because he's unsure, but because he's captivated. Give him time and space. Love thrives in closeness, but desire needs a little distance. It's a paradox that many struggle with, the idea that stepping back can actually bring someone closer. But it's true. If you want him to miss you, you must learn the quiet power of space. Not as punishment, not as manipulation, but as an intentional act of love, trust, and emotional maturity. When you give a man time and space, you create the room for reflection, and reflection is where longing lives. In the quiet moments when you're not texting him updates, not showing up in every part of his day, not trying to fill every pause with your presence, that's when he begins to feel you. Not just think about you. Feel your absence in a way that makes him want you more. Men are often taught to process emotions inwardly. So if you're always there, always calling, always present, he may never get the chance to feel what it's like to miss you. To truly sit with the silence and think, I wonder what she's doing right now. I miss the sound of her voice. Longing is born not in the presence of constant attention, but in its gentle withdrawal. This is especially true in long-term relationships, where routines can dull emotional awareness. You become so integrated into each other's daily lives that the spark fades, not because the love is gone, but because the space for missing each other has vanished. When you reclaim just a little distance, a weekend away, an evening with your own plans, a quiet afternoon not spent texting, you reintroduce that dynamic tension. You remind him that you're whole, complete, and still your own. It's not about playing cold. It's about breathing room, emotional oxygen. If you're always available, always initiating, always managing the relationship's momentum, he never gets the chance to lead, to reach, to want. When you step back, even slightly, you give him space to step forward. And when he does, it's with intention. There's a quiet elegance in not always being first to call. In letting him wonder. In allowing his curiosity to grow without feeding it immediately. You're not being distant, you're being respectful of his emotional process. You're trusting that what you've built is strong enough to hold through stillness. That the bond doesn't need constant tending to exist. That sometimes, love needs silence to echo. And yes, it can be hard. Especially if you're someone who gives fully, who loves with presence and enthusiasm. But understand this, stepping back doesn't mean you care less. It means you care wisely. That you understand relationships are not just built in the hours you spend together, but in the hours you don't. The hours when he remembers you. misses you, wishes you were next to him. So go live your life. Take a walk alone. Turn off your phone. Be in the moment without feeling guilty for not including him in every part of it. That's not neglect. That's emotional trust. That's giving the relationship room to breathe, and giving him space to realize just how much he values your presence when it returns. Let him feel the weight of your absence just enough to remember the lightness of your presence. Give him time and space, and you'll give him a reason to miss you. Be your best self, for you. There is nothing more magnetic than a woman who is fully alive in her own skin. A woman who wakes up not to impress, not to chase, and not to mold herself into someone else's idea of enough, but because she genuinely enjoys the life she's building. If you want him to miss you, if you want to become unforgettable in his mind, you don't do it by shrinking to fit his preferences. You do it by expanding into your fullest self, for you. When you're grounded in your own joy, when your days are filled with purpose, when your laughter is real and your peace is hard-earned, something shifts. You become the kind of woman who doesn't need to demand attention, you command it simply by existing. He can feel your energy, even in your silence. He can sense your wholeness, even from a distance. And most importantly, he starts to miss the light you bring, not because you tailored it for him, but because it's yours, and it's radiant. Men don't miss the woman who needs them to feel complete. They miss the woman who knows she already is, and still chooses to share her time, her heart, her body. There's a power in that. A quiet, graceful confidence that says, I am good with or without you, but being with you is something I enjoy, not something I require to feel worthy. It's not about chasing perfection. Not about becoming the fittest, the smartest, the most accomplished version of yourself just to prove your high value. That kind of self-improvement is rooted in fear. Real, magnetic growth, the kind that he feels when you're gone, comes from love. From self-respect. From choosing yourself, day after day, because you matter, even outside of any relationship. When you care for your body, he notices, but more than how you look, he feels how you carry yourself. Your posture changes when you feel strong. Your eyes light up when you feel rested. Your voice softens when you've given yourself kindness. When you speak with confidence, it's not because someone told you were beautiful. It's because you believe in the woman you're becoming, and that belief is magnetic. The same goes for your mind and spirit. Read the books that feed your soul. Have conversations that challenge and inspire you. Do the work, therapy, meditation, prayer, journaling, boundaries, not for applause, but because you want to grow. He'll sense that evolution. And even if he can't quite put his finger on it, he'll feel the difference between a woman who seeks external validation and one who is rooted in her own becoming. When you're no longer consumed with how he sees you, you become infinitely more intriguing. Because now you're not a mirror, you're a flame. A source of warmth, passion, energy. You show up to the relationship as a woman with her own world, and that's the kind of woman he thinks about when she's not around. Not the one who waits for his attention. Not the one who revolves around his plans. But the one whose life is so full that being invited into it feels like a privilege. And here's the beautiful paradox. The more you focus on yourself, the more deeply he'll miss you when you're gone. Not because you're performing for him, but because being around someone who is fully alive, who inspires by example, leaves a lasting imprint. He won't just miss your body. He'll miss your spirit, your presence, the energy shift you bring when you walk into a room. So show up for yourself. Put on the red lipstick if it makes you feel bold. Sign up for the dance class because you've always wanted to. Take care of your heart. Nourish your dreams. When he sees you thriving for you, not only will he miss you when you're not around, he'll admire you. Respect you. Crave more of your time, not because he has to, but because your self-love reminds him of how lucky he is to be part of your orbit. Be your best self, not to get him, not to keep him, but because you deserve to feel full, with or without him. That fullness is what he'll remember. That radiance is what he'll miss. Emotional intimacy matters most. When it comes to truly being missed, not just for your smile, your touch, or your presence, but for who you are deep down, emotional intimacy is the heart of it all. It's the invisible thread that connects you to someone, even when you're miles apart. It's what lingers after the physical has faded. And it's the part of a relationship that, when nurtured with honesty, empathy, and vulnerability, turns you into someone unforgettable. Men may not always talk openly about it, but the longing they feel for a woman who makes them feel emotionally safe and seen is profound. Emotional intimacy is about so much more than long conversations, it's about emotional trust. It's the space where he doesn't feel judged, where he can take off the mask he wears for the world and just be. That space is rare, and when a man finds it, he doesn't forget it, even when you're gone. To build that kind of connection, you have to first create an emotional home, one that's warm, accepting, and built on presence, not pressure. This means listening without immediately fixing, hearing without interrupting, letting him speak from a raw, honest place without rushing to reassure or redirect. Sometimes, emotional intimacy is in the silence, in the way you sit with him through his storm, not needing to solve it, just holding space for it. Share your truth, too. Let him see your inner world, not in a way that demands attention, but in a way that invites closeness. Tell him what scares you. Let him hear your childhood stories. Let him in on your hopes and what keeps you up at night. When you open those doors, thoughtfully, slowly, authentically, you show him that vulnerability isn't weakness. It's the glue that bonds two people's hearts beyond attraction. Intimacy also thrives in small, consistent acts. A late-night phone call where you talk about nothing and everything. A handwritten note slipped into his bag. A question that goes deeper than, "How was your day?" Like, "What's been weighing on you lately?" Or, "What do you wish more people understood about you?" These moments invite emotional presence, and when they're gone, they leave a noticeable quiet. One of the most powerful things you can do is remember the little details, and remind him that you do. Mention the way his voice changes when he talks about something he loves. Recall something vulnerable he told you weeks ago, and bring it back up gently to show you're still holding it. These small reflections let him know that you truly see him, and being seen on that level is something that carves itself into a man's heart. When you create emotional intimacy, you're not just becoming a partner. You're becoming a sanctuary, a safe place in a chaotic world. And men miss safety more than they'll admit. They'll miss the woman who didn't try to fix them, but who held their hand while they figured things out. Who didn't love them despite their flaws, but made them feel worthy even with their flaws in full view. It's important to note that emotional intimacy isn't about oversharing or trauma bonding. It's not about pouring your soul out on day one. It's a slow dance, a building of trust. It grows in layers, with time and intention. But when it's real, it creates the kind of connection that doesn't fade, the kind he will yearn for when you're no longer around to offer it. So when you're gone, for an hour, a day, a week, what he'll feel is not just the emptiness of your presence. It will be the absence of being understood without having to explain himself. It will be the quiet ache for the one person who truly knows how to reach the parts of him no one else sees. That kind of missing is deep. And it's rooted in the emotional intimacy you've built. Be the person he confides in. Be the soul who makes him feel human. When you do that, when you become more than a body, more than a voice, you become a part of him. And that's the kind of presence he doesn't just miss. That's the kind of presence he'll crave. In closing, if you truly want him to miss you, not just casually think of you now and then, but miss you deeply in his bones, the secret isn't in games or strategies. It's in becoming someone worth missing. And not in a performative way, not by becoming what you think he wants or shrinking into something small to fit his mold, but by expanding into who you already are. Fully, authentically, unapologetically. Real longing doesn't come from absence alone, it comes from the presence you bring into his life. It comes from how alive you are when you're around him. From how your laughter lingers, how your voice calms, how your eyes light up when you talk about something that moves you. It comes from the way you show up with heart, not to impress, not to seek approval, but because your spirit can't help but radiate. Be the woman who lives with purpose and passion, who has her own opinions, her own plans, her own sense of direction. The woman who doesn't disappear into a relationship, but remains vividly herself inside of it. He will miss the woman who makes him feel, not just wanted or desired, but inspired. He will miss the presence of someone who brings warmth, conversation, energy, peace, all wrapped in one unforgettable soul. And don't just focus on being desirable, focus on being memorable. You do that by being emotionally real. By being someone who isn't afraid of depth, who can laugh at herself, who listens with her whole heart and isn't afraid to hold space when someone else is falling apart. When he knows that no one else makes him feel quite as seen, quite as known, quite as held, he'll crave that again and again. Authenticity is magnetic. When you're fully you, in your quirks, your grace, your messiness, your confidence, you become a rare kind of woman. The kind who stands out. The kind who doesn't need to chase anyone because her presence alone speaks volumes. The kind he compares every other woman to after you've walked out of the room. Let your energy speak. Let your values show. Let your light shine without dimming it for anyone. That kind of woman doesn't need reminders or check-ins to be missed. She lingers in his thoughts because she showed up in his world as something real. Something irreplaceable. So don't chase him. Don't try to force feelings or manipulate space. Focus on the beautiful, bold, soft, powerful woman you are. Nurture your mind. Speak your truth. Live a life that excites you first. When you do that, everything else aligns naturally. You won't need to wonder if he misses you. You'll know he does, not because you vanished, but because your presence was too powerful to forget. In the end, longing isn't created by distance. It's created by connection. Build that connection through honesty, joy, depth, and love, and he'll find himself counting the hours, the minutes, the heartbeats, until you're back in his arms again.